Phaethon had always been curious about his parentage, and he longed to confirm that his father was indeed the sun god Helios. One day, he decided to travel to the east to meet his father and ask him directly. When he arrived, Helios recognized his son immediately and welcomed him with open arms. Phaethon spent some time with his father and enjoyed learning about the powers of the sun and how Helios controlled it. However, he couldn't shake the feeling that he needed more proof of his parentage. Finally, Phaethon worked up the courage to ask his father for a favor. He requested the opportunity to drive his father's chariot for a day, a task that only Helios himself had ever performed. Despite Helios' warnings about the dangers of the task, Phaethon was desperate to prove himself and his lineage. Despite the reservations of Helios, Phaethon mounted the chariot and took control of the horses. At first, everything seemed to be going well, and Phaethon felt exhilarated as he soared through the sky. However, he soon realized that he had no experience or skill for handling the powerful beasts, and they became unruly and out of control. The chariot began to veer wildly from side to side, and Phaethon struggled to keep it under control. As he flew too close to the earth, he burned it, leaving charred and desolate wastelands in his wake. When he flew too far from the earth, he froze it, causing glaciers and icy tundras to form. As he continued to drive the chariot recklessly, the sky, the stars, and the earth itself cried out in protest. Zeus, the king of the gods, became enraged at Phaethon's careless actions and decided to punish him severely. With a bolt of lightning, Zeus struck Phaethon down, killing him instantly. As his body fell from the sky, it landed with a splash in the Eridanus River, causing his sisters, the Heliades, to weep tears of amber onto the banks of the river. Over time, their tears formed rich deposits of amber, a precious gemstone that was highly valued by the ancient Greeks. In the end, Phaethon's reckless actions were used to explain the existence of inhabitable lands on both sides of extremity and why some peoples have darker complexions. His tragic death was mourned by the Heliades, who were turned into black poplar trees as a permanent reminder of their brother's story. Phaethon had always wondered if Helios, the sun god, was truly his father. He had heard stories about his father's powerful chariot that drove the sun across the sky every day. Yearning to meet his father and learn the truth about his heritage, Phaethon set out on a perilous journey to the Far East. Eventually, he arrived at Helios' palace and was welcomed by his father. After some discussion, Phaethon summoned the courage to ask a bold request of his father. He wanted to take the reins of Helios' magnificent sun chariot for a day and drive it across the sky. Helios, alarmed by his son's reckless proposal, tried to dissuade him. He warned of the immense danger that lay ahead and urged Phaethon to reconsider. However, the young man was determined to fulfill his wish and refused to be dissuaded. Finally, Helios reluctantly agreed to let Phaethon take charge of the chariot. And so, the young man set off, filled with excitement at the prospect of steering the sun through the heavens. However, things didn't go as planned. Phaethon was unable to control the mighty horses that pulled the golden chariot. As he flew too close to the earth, the ground began to scorch and dry up in his wake. Then, he soared too close to the sun, which scorched the earth with its intense heat. Seeing the chaos that Phaethon's recklessness was causing, Zeus intervened. He summoned a thunderbolt that struck the chariot, causing Phaethon to fall to his death. As the young man plunged to earth, he regretted his foolishness and wished he had heeded his father's warnings. The story of Phaethon has served as a warning for generations of people. It shows the consequences of ignoring wise counsel and acting recklessly. Phaethon, a young man who was the son of Merope and Clymenus, Helios' son, was known for his ambition and bravado. One day, he went to his grandfather Helios and begged to be allowed to drive his fiery chariot across the sky. Helios was apprehensive, knowing that Phaethon was not ready for such a task, but he finally relented and allowed Phaethon to take the reins. Phaethon was ecstatic as he took control of the chariot. The horses, which were known to be wild and unruly, immediately sensed that the young man was not Helios and took off into the sky. Phaethon struggled to control them, but they were too strong for him. The chariot veered wildly, and the earth below began to smolder and burn. The sun scorched everything in its path, and the people of the earth cried out in horror. As the chariot continued to careen across the sky, it came dangerously close to the earth. Phaethon tried desperately to pull the horses up, but it was too late. The earth was blackened, and the rivers turned to stone. Finally, Zeus, the king of the gods, intervened. He threw a thunderbolt at the chariot, and Phaethon was thrown off. The young man fell through the sky, his body blazing like a meteor. When he hit the ground, he caused a great earthquake. His mother, Merope, was devastated, and Zeus was filled with remorse for having to kill the young man. In the end, Phaethon's tale served as a warning against recklessness and disobedience, for his tragic fate was the result of his failure to recognize the limits of his own abilities. Phaethon was a young man who had a burning desire to find out who his father truly was. His mother, Clymene, had kept this a secret from him for a long time. One day, she finally revealed that he was the son of Helios, the god of the sun. Phaethon decided to travel to the east to meet his father and have his parentage confirmed. Helios was pleased to see his son and offered him anything he desired. Phaethon wanted to drive Helios' chariot, which carried the sun across the sky each day. Helios was hesitant at first but gave in to his son's wish. Helios instructed and advised Phaethon on how to drive the car, but Phaethon was not able to control the fiery horses. The chariot went out of control, and the earth was set ablaze. Phaethon met his tragic end as Zeus intervened, using his thunderbolt to strike Phaethon down. Phaethon's charred corpse was hidden from his nominal father, Merops, by Phaethon's mother, who knew that Zeus was responsible for her son's death. The tragedy of Phaethon was also related to the goddess of beauty, Aphrodite. Euripides had combined the stories of two Phaethons, with one being abducted by Aphrodite to be the watchman of her shrines. Phaethon's bride remains a mystery in this version of the story, but it is believed that he was getting married to one of the Heliades, adding to the tragedy of the myth. Only one other tragedy about the myth of Phaethon exists, Theodoride's Phaethon, but sadly, nothing from it has survived to this day.
Do you want to explore more Greek mythology stories? Who do you want to see featured next? Subscribe and leave a comment below to let me know. I'll see you in the next video.